Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. You're watching The Brown Feminist. In today's episode, I'm sharing a recipe with you, which is the famous Bangladeshi beef potato chops. So this beef potato chops, also known as Aloo Chop, is pretty simple and I've used only locally available ingredients here in Canada to make it. So some of the ingredients might appear to be a little fusion, but I'm also going to be mentioning the authentic version of the ingredient which would have gone in its place. So I hope you enjoy this video. So we start off with doing our potatoes. You put them in a pot, add water, and you bring it to a boil when they're completely ready to be mashed. I've used some different pots to help me cool the potatoes, peel them, and then mash them nicely. In the authentic version, you would be adding spices to this mash as well. You would add not only salt, pepper, and coriander, also cumin and red chili powder. I've had to use dill because coriander was not available at my local grocery. Once the potato mash mix is ready, we're going to move on to preparing the beef. Of course, I always like using fresh onion, ginger, and garlic to make it way more fragrant and fresh. Go ahead and chop up the onions, garlic, and ginger very nicely, and you can stir them in with oil. Once again, I have used olive oil because it was more easily available here. In the authentic version, you would be using what we call in Bengali sorishar tel, also known as mustard seed oil. It is a lot more spicy for some and might be available in your local Indian stores. Now I did buy 2 full pounds of beef, but I decided to use only one of these blocks because it was going to be meant for about 2 to 4 people. You go ahead and you add all your condiments to the oil and keep stirring until there's a nice brown color. Now we're also going to add Bangladeshi spices to this as we keep moving forward. Some of the spices that I've shown here are ginger powder, cumin powder, garam masala, some cardamom, some mint leaves, and others that I will be listing down below in the ingredients list. I also like to use some fresh bay leaves, but remember in the case of cardamom and bay leaves, we do pick them up after. Now the other spices, the ground ones, such as the cumin, coriander powder, ginger powder, salt and pepper, mint, and everything else like red chili powder will obviously be staying in there. So we're adding them in the second part of cooking the onions and stuff. And all of this is going to be mixed nicely in with the meat. You can use any kind of mint leaves. I had ones which were originally fresh and then I had dried them at home, so I had to kind of crunch them up and mix them in with the rest of the spices. The onions have now darkened and caramelized a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and add the meat and the seasoning, which is the salt and pepper. As you keep stirring every 5 minutes or so on low to medium heat, you'll see that the meat has started to cook and turn into a nice caramelized brown color. Once you see that the meat's color is right and you can check that salt and pepper concentrations are right, you can then take it off and let it cool. Then it's going to be time for us to start playing around with the mashed potatoes and using it as a mold. You can see how in this video I've used some of the mashed potato to form a bit of a hollowed cradle, used the meat to act as a stuffing, stuffed it in, and then closed it up. You can always take a little bit of extra potato pieces to add to the top. Once you have a nice thick layer of the potato around the meat, nicely hugging it, it's time to play with the shape. Now you can go for any shape you like, including a nice round shape. Most Bangladeshi chops are a little bit of the oval shape, so it is tradition. And I went with a nice leafy oval shape by pressing it down as I'm showing in the video. It is now time to begin the coating process. Now we usually use breadcrumbs or even crumbs of toast. And once you pour them in a bowl, you're going to roll around the chop in it so it sticks nicely in an even layer all around it. But this won't be the last coating. We will also be using some eggs, including the egg yolk, putting them in a bowl and whipping it out nicely. And that will add as like a mixture that can help you hold together all of the crumbs so it doesn't disperse when you're frying it, and you'll do a second layer before you fry it. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and show this step to you. We'll do the first coating in crumbs, then we're going to dip it in the egg mixture, which is basically just eggs whipped up. Then we will do another round of coating on the crumbs all around it, so it's not just an eggy thing that we're frying. And once that is nicely coated a second time, we'll proceed to frying them. Once again, you can fry it in olive oil or butter. Authentically, it is fried in mustard seed oil. You will need to flip them about a few minutes in, about 4 to 5 minutes in. Once it has a nice brown color on the outside, you know our coating has been cooked well. The insides were already cooked, so we're not super worried about the potatoes or the meat. It's mostly just the coating. And it adds like a really nice burst of flavor when you have this crispy, crunchy texture on the outside, soft potatoes, and then a meaty interior. I like to rest them on some paper towel so the oil can get soaked off prior to serving them. I have decided to garnish them with some dill, but you can always use coriander, which is more authentic for the flavor. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.